You know what I want to think of myself? As a human being. Because, I mean, I don't want to sound like, as Confucius say, but under the sky, under the heaven, man, there is but one family. It just so happened, man, that people are different.
Since 2012, the San Francisco Giants, along with Bruce Lee's daughter Shannon and his wife Linda, annually pay tribute recognizing and honoring a man who broke many cultural barriers and impacted pop culture and has shaped Eastern and Western societies for the betterment of mankind. This year's Bruce Lee tribute, 2 special edition pops were released for the event on June 28th. The orange Bruce Lee Flying Man was limited to only 250 pieces and was autographed by both Shannon and Linda. The proceeds from this annual event supports the Bruce Lee Foundation, keeping the teachings of this master very much alive for future generations. Let's review this superhero's life and legacy. Although Lee was born in San Francisco, he was actually raised in Hong Kong. His parents were quite active in the performing arts. Bruce's father appeared in the Cantonese opera and was also featured in films. The performing arts bug captured Bruce Lee before he even turned 1. In 1941, Bruce's acting appearances began in Chinese films, and by at the age of 6, he was considered the biggest child star in Hong Kong. Early fame and entering into his teens, Bruce began facing adversity and discrimination within the community because he was not 100% Chinese. It was known that Bruce's mother was part German, and for not being 100% Chinese, Bruce was picked on and bullied by his Chinese peers. In order to survive out in the public, Lee began to study Kung Fu as a way to defend himself. Street fighting was very common, and Kung Fu had clans. Each clan had their own method or style of fighting. The clan of Wing Chun had a teacher by the name of Yip Man. This teacher gave Bruce the foundation exposure to philosophy at an early age. He was taught to see beyond the physical combat and to push through mentally to use martial arts as a way for expressing oneself honestly. By understanding this principle, Lee applied to sharpen other talents such as dance. Many may not know, but in the late 1950s, Lee became the nation's cha-cha champion in Hong Kong. Soon after, at age 18, Lee left Hong Kong to live with his sister in Seattle and attended the University of Washington, studying philosophy. At the same time, he opened an institute to teach martial arts. During this period, Bruce met his wife Linda, and they were married in 1964, even though interracial marriage was not widely accepted. In the beginning, Lee faced more adversity as the Chinese community in Oakland gave Lee a hard time. They did not want Lee to teach non-Chinese people the art form. Lee couldn't understand or see this perspective, as he felt humans were one family and all should be welcome to learn. This harassment continued, and it reached a point where the Chinese community gave an ultimatum and challenged Bruce to either shut down the school or fight to keep the territory. The deal was, if Bruce lost, he had to stop teaching non-Chinese students if he wanted to stay. Bruce accepted, and in Oakland's Chinatown, Lee had this epic private match with a direct student of Ma Kin Fung named Wong Jack Man. Needless to say, it was an embarrassing fight for Wong, as Bruce defeated him with skills that Wong could not handle. While although this was a great victory, Bruce was disappointed that the combat lasted longer than it should have. This made Lee rethink his style, both physically and mentally. The couple then moved to Oakland, California in 1965. Newly married, and with the birth of his son Brandon, Lee needed to provide for his family and opened another institute in Oakland. Lee intensely studied other sports such as Western fencing and Western boxing. Bruce marveled at watching Muhammad Ali's feat and quick movements that demonstrated balance, coordination, dexterity, and stamina. He began fusing elements of boxing and fencing into Wing Chun in an attempt to evolve his discipline. During this phase, Lee was discovered while doing an exhibition in Long Beach. Lee landed the role of Kato in the American television series called The Green Hornet in 1966. His character was a supporting role, playing the bodyguard, chauffeur, and enforcer to the lead actor. Unfortunately, the series was canceled in 1967. However, Kato became a popular Chinese hero in Hong Kong as a result of the impressive martial arts skills Lee used when he was fighting crime in the series. He recognized that Hollywood was just not ready to accept Asian actors playing lead roles. Leaving the series in 1967, Lee went back to studying, refining, and teaching the principle and concept of intercepting, which later became known as Jeet Kune Do in Cantonese. This method was designed to effectively and efficiently end the movement of combat. In order to achieve Jeet Kune Do, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do needed to be understood first, of putting into practice meditation and movement, yoga, introspective view of Buddhism, and just keeping it simple. The philosophies taught attracted quite a few celebrities and athletes in Hollywood. Notable students of Lee: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Garner, and of course the legendary Chuck Norris. In parallel, Bruce Lee still attempted to make it in Hollywood as an A-list star. Despite his efforts, he was challenged to make traction, and in 1971 made the decision to move his family back to Hong Kong, where he now had fame. It was through this popularity that he landed a movie deal with Chow's Golden Harvest Studio. Under producer Raymond Chow, Bruce starred as a lead in several films such as The Big Boss and Fist of Fury. Then in 1972, The Way of the Dragon was a huge turning point in Lee's career. This film starred A-list actor Chuck Norris, and it was the epic fight scene between Norris and Lee that broke another barrier. This fight symbolized that the underdog, as well as a person of color, could win and be the hero. Hollywood was now taking notice, and in February 1973, Lee began working on Enter the Dragon. This poignant film was one of the very first martial arts films produced in a Hollywood studio. Lee finally had the creative freedom to influence and change the way Asians were being portrayed on film. He did his own stunts, he choreographed the fight scenes, and also had impact on the script. Sadly, Lee did not live to see the film's success and died 1 month before Hollywood premiere on July 20th, 1973, at the young age of 32. With a budget of only $850,000, Enter the Dragon premiered in Hollywood on August 20th, grossing $90 million at the box office worldwide. Even though Bruce did not get to see the impact of the film, he managed to bridge the gap between people and cultures. He broke many cultural barriers, and his life continues to inspire so many around the world. We see his spirit and philosophies live in the action movies we watch, the fashion we wear, video games we play, and of course, the martial arts. Bruce Lee knew the secret and succeeded. What we learn is all mortal beings have this chance to live on forever. Stay present, live with purpose, and as Bruce Lee would say,
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
This story in a box is brought to you by the creative minds at SClusive Geek. Pops featured in this episode can be found and available at www.exclusivity.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time.